What's going on, y'all? It's your girl Shawna Speaks, and this is the Male and Female Perspective Podcast. And I am here with my dope co-host, Just Comply.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How y'all doing today?
What's going on? We are
Shawna?
live on TikTok. We are on these streets.
Yes,
Okay?
we in the streets now.
Yeah, we got to take it to the streets.
We out here. Happy Taco Tuesday, everybody.
Happy Taco Tuesday. You know how we do it. Let's
go.
Get it.
Let's get it on.
What is going on today, Comply? And TikTok live?
Welcome live to the Male and Female Perspective Podcast on TikTok, on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple. We in there. We
are in the building. You heard?
In the building. So today we're gonna have a good topic, but before we even get into our topic, we want to thank everybody for coming in, for tapping the screen, for sharing the live. You know, you're free to comment. We're not going to take any people into the box, that want to kind of like just do the live podcast together. But please feel free to.
Welcome.
Right. Any comments is welcome.
Thank
Please
you, Dimples.
Feel free to follow. Feel free to share. Feel free to tap, and just sit back and just enjoy, just listen to what we got to say. And, we definitely appreciate any feedback that you may have. If you have any requests or any questions that you would like to direct to myself or to Shawna, please feel free to hit us up at the Male and Female POV at gmail.
That part. .com.
All right, so this is going to be a heavy one. I want y'all. Let's go ahead and let's get ready,
get loose,
get loose. Because this is about to be one of those. The topic of discussion for today is going to be honor thy mother and thy father. This is about to get
Dimples.
deep. Yeah, we appreciate. Yeah.
So we've been holding on to this topic for about 2 months now, I must say.
Yeah.
I hope that y'all can hear us clear too. Let us know in the chat if you can hear us clear.
Yeah, let me know if you can't hear me or anything. Just please, give me any feedback if you can't hear me clearly. But this is one of those, and this is going to be a really heavy one for both of us.
We can make it a little light because, like I said, this might go into a part 2, but
Yeah, definitely. But I wanted to do. This is something that I wanted to do, simply because you hear this all the time.
Yeah.
That growing up or whatever, and especially if if you were raised up in the church, you should honor that mother and that father. You should honor that mother and that father. You should honor that mother and that father, so that their days will be long on this earth. That's what you hear.
That's what the Bible says. You said this in the scripture. I'm gonna tell you what it is, but go ahead. Proceed.
Yeah, it's in Exodus. It's the first commandment that is attached with a promise to it.
Number 5.
It's the 5th commandment. Correct.
So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But so I know that a lot of us we stick to that particular commandment real strong.
Maybe our generation. I don't know about this new generation.
You know what? But is it their fault? You know what I mean? Is it their fault? Because there was a change in the guard once, Gen X started becoming
Hey,
parents.
Bree, can you hear us?
Um, there was a change in the guard, and once Gen X became parents, because Gen X didn't want what um, what our parents gave us, and so we changed a lot of the models in regards to what it was to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of our parents were young, didn't know much,
Yeah.
just were trying to do whatever they could to make it by. And so we grew up with certain type of feelings about how they raised us.
Yeah.
And once we had those particular feelings about how they raised us, then we decided that, you know what, I refuse to raise my child the way you raised me. And
Mm.
so then we got different results because now we have a generation of there. It's a pro and a con in regards to when you look at this particular generation of children. But I want um because we're going to dive a little deep. Like we're going to, I'm definitely, I know I'm going to get personal in regards to this particular subject, but I want to hear your thoughts on, you know, do you agree or do you see things differently in regards to, how we got here?
So excuse me, y'all. So I've been roaming in the TikTok streets, and it came upon, like I said, we supposed to do this podcast a while ago, but it's gonna hit home because of the title, hence, honor your mother and your father. And like you said, it's the fifth commandment. And it says, honor thy mother and thy father, that your days may be long. And I want to read it right because I don't want to get it wrong, because I don't want nobody
Mm-hmm.
coming for me. It says that your days may be long upon the land for which the Lord giveth you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so when it tells with that, it means to respect, to, I guess, to not, not be disrespectful, to uphold your parent to a certain regard, not talking back, things that we do now in a sense. But then
Mm-hmm.
also on the flip side, there's a scripture that says for the parent not to provoke the child so that we won't become discouraged.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of older people that love to throw that, that particular scripture at us, but they
Mm-hmm.
forget about the one in Colossians, right? That
Mm-hmm.
says that. It says that
Okay,
it says
good.
it. Colossians 2, 3 and 21, fathers do not provoke your children so that they may not be discouraged, right? So those
Look
two
at
go
you
hand in
trying to be
hand.
a theologian right here in front of me. Wait, I thought you was just a coach.
I'm a
Let me
I'm a
find out,
coach
Rev.
and a preacher. Hallelujah.
Let me find
I'm
out,
in many
Rev.
hats. Okay. Let me tell you something. This is serious because this is what we was
Okay,
talking
come
about.
on. Right.
Huh? So we had an
Come on
older
with it.
lady. We had an older lady that was on the on the panel, and she was
Mhm.
older. She's a part of the silent generation, our great
Generation.
grandparents, right? And she was just
Mhm.
like, cause y'all don't this and you don't do this and da 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 and blah 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 blah. And she's very like one of those grandmothers that would have been mean, the one you don't want to
Mhm.
be, you don't want to go to their house.
Right.
But
Right.
then I got where it got it from because she said her grandmother was
Mhm.
mean, and I said I see where you got it from in the comments.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I absolutely agree with you. What I believe is we were latch door kid keys, right? You
Mhm.
had the key around your neck, you let yourself in. You pick your brother
Mhm.
or your sister up, your mother or father, if they and you didn't have two-parent household, they were at work or somewhere, right? And
Mhm.
then as the
Right.
oldest, we were responsible of raising our younger siblings.
Right.
So when we got older and we started having kids or didn't want to have kids, is because we raised our siblings.
Right.
So in the
Yeah.
sense, and then we went through a lot of things. There was a lot of traumas, a lot of violations in the black community and kids back then that a lot of us went through. So we
Mhm.
once we got old enough to leave the house and the nest, we were out.
Right.
Hey
Right.
Ivo, we were out. We didn't want to stay. Right. And then
Right.
so they were saying in the panel about, did we drop the ball for the millennials and the Gen Zs?
Mhm.
And I say, after I raised my child and raised my brothers, and
Mhm.
and and I didn't want to deal with all the kids.
Okay.
And we have rough parenting,
Hmm.
right? The
Yeah.
beatings and the things that we got back in the days would definitely be child abuse today.
Right. Right.
And we have to remember that our silent generation, which was our grandparents, what I do believe is that the discipline and the
Hmm.
respect and the morale and the humility that was bestowed upon us, because we had real grandparents and real aunts and real elders that sat you down to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, you
Hmm.
yes when they called you, not what you didn't roll your eyes. You had a certain regard and respect to an elder.
Hmm.
Now is, oh, you got to respect me too, but I'm 40 years older than you. So with us, what happened is, because we were traumatized by our parents, which is the
Hmm.
baby bloomers, a lot of us took the trauma. I gotta go to church. I can't speak. I can't tell you that there's some relatives in my family that don't like me, and they're lying on me for you to beat me.
Right.
So
Right.
as a kid, I didn't have no say. So I didn't have a safe space. The adult was always right, and the kid
Hmm.
was always the one that had to be quiet. So guess what happens when we get older? We're loud. We're going to be
Hmm.
boastful. We're going to believe our kids. We're going to let our kids speak. We're going to let our
Hmm.
kids express.
Hmm.
So it came from trauma that we never got healed from, because now
Okay.
we let our kids overly express. We let our kids
Okay.
overly talk over us. Now it's no balance. So we didn't balance the scale. That was the
Okay.
problem that happened. So that's
I
what I
get.
believe is the reason why they might say that we did drop the ball with the millennials and the Gen Zs, is because we were tired. We were the
Right.
survival kids. We
Hmm.
fell down and had a busted knee. We didn't get stitches. These kids
Right.
now, they get a paper cut. World War III, they bleeding. They on the floor. Oh my God, look at my finger. It's a paper cut. My
Right.
whole knee
Right.
was busted. You think my mother took me to the hospital? No. I still got a mark on my knee. Everybody got that mark on their knee because we needed stitches.
Yeah.
Everybody know that mark I'm talking about. Everybody got
Right.
that
Right.
that mark, that keloid that needed stitches. Go drink
But
go drink some ginger ale and go to sleep.
right. But do you think that so do you think that we swung the pendulum a little bit too far because of where we started off because the pendulum swings left to right. And so
Mm-hmm.
if it goes as far out left as it possibly can, and when it comes back it goes out as far right as it doesn't stop in the
It
middle.
doesn't stop.
You know what I mean? So do you believe that the pendulum swung out too far
I think it
because
swung out.
of
I'm
how
sorry, Gad.
had it was because of how far it swung out with our parents?
So with my mother, this is another reason why it's important to sit at the feet of the elders to get an understand, or talk to your parents if you can, to find out the
Hmm.
history that they went through. To be honest, from what my mother has said and how she was the only child.
Hmm.
She was the only child that my grandparents on that side had. On my father's
Okay.
side, it's 7 of them.
Hmm.
So my mother didn't get beat. That's why I
Okay.
don't understand why it was so easy for her to do it. She
Mm.
was spoiled.
Right.
And if I had to sit down right now and actually sit, and this is what I realized, I'm going to say this. You are exactly what your mother and father made you to be. Now that could be with the scripture, you train up a
Mm.
child in the way that they go, and when they grow old, they will not depart from it.
Mm.
That's a catch-22, because if you didn't teach
It
me
is.
nothing, then I'm not
Hmm.
gonna be nothing and learn nothing. But if you
Right.
taught me everything I'm supposed to know, I'm gonna be everything that I'm supposed to be. So what I learned is, if I could sit down and this, and I know sometimes you're like, oh, you tell the secrets. Remember the secrets in the household. You don't tell nothing.
Right. Right. Don't
I
tell what's
gotta
going on in
tell
my
my
house.
truth. Honoring my
Hmm.
mother is not hiding my violation. I have to
Okay.
speak it, right?
Okay.
Because I was
Hmm.
uncovered. So so I say this a lot. A lot of women out here, and a lot of men, we weren't raised. A lot of us were grown up, or we were raised out of fear, raised that to take the minimal of everything, because
Hmm.
that comes down from having, my grandparents was free slaves, the kids of
Hmm.
slaves.
Hmm.
Everything was scared. You can't do that. No, because the white man, and no, da 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 da. And you like, man, my grandmother and them used to love this superstitious stuff.
Hmm.
I came along, I was like, I don't believe in that. I ain't borrowing no sword, throwing sword on my shoulder, the black cat, and all this stuff. And my grandmother almost beat me because of it. My mother, to this
Right.
day, she said, I was so proud of you when you was 13 years old and you stood up to your grandmother. I thought she was going to unalive you, But I was so proud of you that you stood up to her about the superstition, because I didn't take that with me and my kid. I didn't take that. I didn't
Right.
take that.
Right.
I did not
So
take that.
I'm gonna back up for just a second,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna give you my thoughts
Okay.
on the what I believe the scripture means, right?
Okay.
And then we're gonna go from there, because it's my thought that the honor thy mother and thy father, the actual scripture itself means to for you to not bring shame upon your father and your mother's name, right?
That too. Yes.
That's the simplest term that you can give it, is that do not bring shame to your father and mother. So
Right.
when you are a child, before you become an adult, your identity is your mother and father's child. That's
Yes.
exactly what it is. You are your mother and your father's child. Your
Thanks
identity
for
is that,
joining, y'all.
right? So the honoring they honoring thy mother and thy father means to not bring shame to the household,
Okay.
right? Don't be
Right.
out here doing XYZ stuff or whatever where people
Right.
are going to look um
Don't
th-
embarrass
it,
them.
right, disgracefully upon your mother and your father, right?
Okay.
So and once you are now um once you leave their household and you become your own household, and usually, or back then it was, the way you left their household is through marriage. Someone
Yeah.
married you, right? Now you have your own household,
Right.
and now, you know what I mean, now you have your own identity. Now you are this person's husband,
Thanks for
and
sharing,
that,
Avo.
or this person's wife, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that we took that, and we took that scripture, and we went way too far one way or the other in regards to what it means.
Okay.
Because to bring shame, to not bring shame to the house is one thing. To
Right.
say that I can't voice my thoughts because so and so is, because my mother and my father is my elder,
Mm-hmm.
that's not bringing dishonor to the house. That's
Right. But
me.
that's how they taught it to us, though. That's how
But
they made
but
us
that,
feel.
you know what I mean. But
Right.
you took you took this, and you fit it so that way it to you
Mm-hmm.
worked. You know what I mean. But
Exactly.
in doing that, you silenced me, a human being that was born to think,
To
to
think.
speak,
Right.
to feel, right? And
Absolutely.
so the only way that I was going to be able to respond is I was going to have to respond in trauma, because you are causing trauma.
Right.
When you're silencing me, when you're telling me that, my thoughts and my feelings don't matter to you, and you have to be careful of that, because you are the first molder of my character,
That's right.
right?
The
So
foundation.
if
Yep.
you are not a person that is capable of molding this clay the right way, it's going to go everywhere.
Everywhere.
And that's the problem that I have with that, is because there's a lot of folks that took that scripture to honor thy mother and thy father, so that your days may be will be longer,
Long.
and they made it to where it covered now the way you choose to abuse me, or
Mm-hmm.
manipulate me, or
Or loud
silence
abuse.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why when we got older and started our own family, is the reason why you said everything from us. And it's sad because I know right now, as much as these people come on TikTok, even us, get on
Mhm.
here and talk and want to say what they think they're going to say, we all are little kids in a
Mhm.
grown person body
Yes.
mentally, because we all have been traumatized some way, shape, or form by a family member, by our direct family, by our siblings, by just our culture, just things that we have been through that we were not taught. So I want to go back to what
Mhm.
I was saying. So you train up a child in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they won't depart from it. Like I said, if you didn't teach me anything, then I'm not gonna know anything. If you take a child right now and keep it in silence, don't speak to the child, don't let it watch TV, don't let it hear no sounds in a house, and don't speak, that child will be mute because it never heard anything. Not because it can't hear, not because the vocals don't work, but I wasn't taught to speak. If you take a African American child and an Asian child and switch them and speak Mandarin to that African American child, that child's gonna speak Mandarin because that'll be the first thing they heard.
Yeah.
So we are empty canvas, and a lot of women. I had the grace and the honor to be raised by my grandmother to a certain point, where I learned things to cook, to clean, to carry myself as a lady, to cross my legs, or put my skirt down, not to be exposed, not to be vulgar, not to curse. And of course, you get older and then you get in that community. But then on the flip side, with my mother, it was like nothing was actually taught to me. It was like I learned by getting hit. So if I did something wrong, instead of sitting down saying, hey, this was wrong, I told you not to do it this way. So guess what happens when you get older? Now you get angry. So now as soon as somebody raises their voice at you, you're fearful. You're jumping.
Yeah.
And you go through life. You go through life being scared of everything, and you don't realize where it came from until you sit with a therapist or life coach. You be like, "Hey, you're going through some kid trauma. This is the reason why you act like this. This is the reason why you're a people pleaser. This is the reason why you stand over. This is the reason why you don't hug your kids because you wasn't hugged and loved on as a kid.
Or this is the reason why you're so extra protected. Because
Ice.
It's the one way or the other. So this is the reason why you can't you live vicariously through your kid now, is because
Or you're jealous.
Right, or you're jealous of because you feel like you was ignored, or whatever that looks like. You know what I mean?
I had you at 16, 17. I didn't really want you.
Right.
I had to marry your father because that was a rule. I had to get married, so I really didn't want you. You held me back from everything I wanted to do in my life. So now when you see your kid growing up, being successful, two things happen. You didn't have nothing to do with it because you didn't raise them, but you want to tell everybody, this is my kid. Look what they did. Look what he did. They're at college. They're a doctor. They this. They that.
Right.
Right.
And it becomes a competition within your own house.
Right. Or it's like you supposed to do everything. Yeah. So it's like we need the therapy. We need the release because we're walking around here adults, 40s, 50s, whatever age we are now, raising our own kids, but there's trauma that comes up and we don't even realize it because it became so innate. It became it came normal. Like you go to a house where you see everybody loving on each other and they sitting down eating dinner and the father's loving on the mother and the kids are playing together and everybody, the father kissed the daughter and the son. You like, what's going on in here? That's weird. Right. It's too quiet in here. And you walk in your door, close the goddamn door, blah, 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 sit your goddamn down. You like, wait a minute. So now you like, yeah, that's my normal right there. Right. And then your friend come to your house and hear all of this and you like.
And they traumatized, like, what?
They traumatized.
This is how y'all live?
You like, Kathy, you ain't coming back that weekend? My mama said I can't go back over there.
They in therapy.
Go back over there. What? Now she need therapy. She only been in your house for a weekend. Everybody, you come out smelling like smoke. They cook food over there. They get 3-course meals. You get lunch at school, and you might get dinner.
Right.
So guess what? So I'm gonna tell you my trauma, because I hope everybody that even if you're on the live, y'all can say something in the chat. Even with us going shopping with our food stamps, right? Remember? You get the booklet with all the colors in it. And then my mother will always keep me from school. I was like, yes, I am going to Pathmark and I'm going to get everything that my little heart desires. I'm going to get the Fruit Loops. I'm going to get the Captain Crunch. I'm going to get the real milk, not the powder one. I'm going to get the real cheese, not the black one. I'm excited. Time going by. It's 5 o'clock. We finally make it to Pathmark. You get in there, you start throwing everything in your little cart. I want this, I want that. You get to the thing, it's like $400 or something. Everything that's in that cart that you wanted got to go back. So when I got older, This is the click off. I didn't realize it, right? So this is how you
Mm-hmm.
got to remember the things you do to your kids, and I hope you're listening in the chat. Indirectly, I didn't realize it. Once I got out the house and I started my career and I started shopping for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't even look at a circular. I would go down each aisle like this, and whatever I wanted, I got.
I'm getting.
Guess what? You get to
Mm-hmm.
my check could have been maybe say $1,200 for the week, for the 2 weeks that I worked.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like $575 in food.
And you
I
paying
got,
with no problem.
and I'm paying with no problem. Guess what? Because I'm not putting nothing back.
Back. I'm not
Because that's
putting a
that happened to
damn
me
thing
through my
back.
whole
Yep.
childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had to go back. I'm gonna get everything I want.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't care if I got 10 cents less. I'm going to my car and get it out the cart.
Yep.
I'm not putting nothing back. And I didn't.
Yep.
I said, why do I always do that? And I said, oh man, it's because of what I went through, being traumatized, want everything from the supermarket, and I couldn't get what I wanted.
Right.
So there's so much stuff that's packed on top of us that we don't realize that need to be peeled back.
Right.
From just little minor things, shopping.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I'm never put it back.
Yeah.
I won't, unless it's old or something. But other than that, I'm not doing it.
And I don't pay attention to prices neither.
Nope. That part. I told you I'm picking no circular. No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
They're like, you got 50 cents. I said, I'm not cutting that. Just give it to me.
Right.
I'm not cutting that. And I said, wow. And then I started thinking about other little things that I may have do or don't do because of whatever, I went through as a kid,
Right.
And that's why this conversation, I know, is so deep and dear to both of us, because we have different aspects of how we were raised up. But still, there are things that we're still dealing with to this day,
To this day.
Yeah.
So here's the part where, buckle up. Buckle in.
Oh, wow. Tree said,
We about
oh
to get there.
my. She said, this is why I don't like to return things. Possibly, Trees. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things. Yes, I'm telling you, subconsciously, I didn't realize it. I will spend $600 to $700 on food, and it's not because I like to eat. It was because I got traumatized by my mother putting back everything.
I want. I'm going to get what I get.
Right.
You ain't going to convince me
and
anyway.
It ain't going to be no white labels.
That part right
not
there.
Not doing that. I'm going to get the real stuff. I'm not buying. I'm not buying.
I ain't getting Flavor Aid. I'm getting Kool-Aid.
I'm getting Kool-Aid. Right.
Right.
I'm getting real orange juice, not orange beverage.
Right.
How dare you?
If I don't want to drink the Pope, I ain't getting the Pope.
I ain't drinking it. I don't want no Pope. Okay, I want the calcium. Forget you. I don't want King Vitamin and Kaboom. I don't want no damn King Vitamin cereal. I want Kaboom. I don't want no Kaboom. I want Captain Crunch.
Right.
Okay, and Fruit
You better
Loops.
know it. Right. You better know it. I'm going to get exactly what I want, and I'm going to get it every time.
Man, that always made me tear up, because I'm like, yo, you don't know how broken you be until you realize. So you're like, what is going on?
Until you go back. Like, you have to really go back. And see, that's the reason why I suggest to people, like, one of the best things that you could possibly do is to pull up roots in your life. Like, go back. And if you never sought therapy, like, there are good therapists out there, because there are certain behaviors that you have, in order for you to change, you have to know where the root of it came from, or to even understand. Like, sometimes it's not about changing your behavior. Sometimes it's just to understand why you do what you do, why you respond to certain
things, right?
You know what I mean?
Procrastination, fear. My mother.
Why you gravitate to certain type of people?
Certain people, right? Exactly. Yeah. It's true. Like, that's so. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So for me, and this is where it gets deep for me, and this is the reason why I picked this particular topic to speak on.
Yeah.
If you
Thanks for the taps, y'all. Thanks for the taps.
If you don't know my backstory, I grew up in South Bronx, New York, in the 70s.
BX.
In the building. And my mother and my father, I don't know their relationship prior to them, procreating.
Okay.
But I know that they were equally non-present in my life.
Right.
And so I grew up in the system. Every memory that I had is me growing up in the system, from foster care to or to a orphanage to adoptive parent.
Okay.
My adoptive parent was extremely mentally, emotionally, physically, and occasionally sexually abusive.
Mm.
I had to deal with that. Um, my adoptive parent was a catalyst for why I had extremely low self esteem. Um, if you had known me back in the day, I was a very, very respectful young kid, but I wouldn't speak. Um, I wouldn't, I wasn't, I was an introvert for the most
Okay.
part. I was an introvert where you like to hear me talk. Like I read books all the time. That was my go-to, reading books.
Yeah,
So I
mine
was an
too.
extremely smart person. I was just I was smarter then than I am now. I'm wiser now, right? But um, and this is the reason why I think that it's imperative that we distinguish between what is honoring versus dishonoring
Mm-hmm.
a parent, right? Because um, I used to get beat for everything,
Me too.
um, and a lot of the stuff that I used to get beat for is like regular kid stuff. You know what I mean? And it was relentless.
Wow.
Um, and
Got that
then
screen, y'all. Thank you.
when um, when I would go out, I would, because of the amount of abuse that I would take at home,
Mm-hmm.
somebody else got to get the got to what I couldn't, the work I couldn't give in this house, because I can't raise my hand to the person that keeps abusing me and feeling like.
Yeah.
So now when I go to school, somebody got to get this work. And I was diagnosed young with being a manic depressive and having rage,
Mm.
because I wouldn't just like I wouldn't just be angry. Like it would go to a whole another level where like, you know,
What the kids
like
say, you
I'm willing
crash
to,
out.
I'm ready to go ahead and I'm ready to do, I'm blacking out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like because of the amount of emotions that I have. And so once I go there, it's uncontrollable. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Until I get myself together. So as I started to um I I, I tell you that in the midst of all these things, like it was a blessing to have met um the woman that eventually became my um in the seventh grade. I met the woman that would eventually become my second adopted mom.
Mm. Okay.
Um, and a lot of the stuff that I I am now, is the way that I am now, I credit to her, right? But I'll step back for just a second, because like Joe, so, I knew my mom had my biological mother. I knew that she had us young. She had um she had me and my three sisters that I knew of right then. Me and my
Okay.
three sisters that grew up in the same house with me. Luckily, the state of New York decided that we weren't to be separated,
That's
and I
good.
was really protective of them. Like you better not say anything to my sister. You
Yeah.
better not do anything to my sister.
But
And
that's
if you
good
see
because they
me with
usually
one of my
separate.
sisters, you know
They
I'm about to
separate the
fight.
kids, so that's
Yeah,
great.
typically they do.
Yeah,
Typically, like
typically they
you
do.
you're in separate
Mhm.
households. Um, I found
Hey,
out
Athena.
later that
Hey, Maisha.
my my adopted mom's only interest in me and my three sisters was the money that was being provided
The
to
first
her
one.
by the state.
The first one.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the first one. Yeah. Um. So I always respected, or I've always gave my adopted mom the respect. I never like disrespected her in front of anybody. I wasn't disrespectful to elders or anything else like that. But um, like no, it was like no matter how much I wanted her to love me,
Yeah.
she just wasn't going to. She just didn't have the capacity whatsoever to give me what I needed from her. And so then, of course, what happens in a situation like that? You always find it somewhere else,
And it
right?
don't be the right way.
And it don't be the right way.
Nope.
You always gonna like if you don't, because what I when I found myself on the top of the school building
Mhm.
in New York City, and you already know school buildings in New York City, they ain't they ain't small. They ain't the regular school buildings that you go around the country and see. Like they're about the size of apartment buildings most of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I found myself on top of there, contemplating whether or not I wanted to jump or not,
Mhm.
in that moment, I made a decision. Or when I came back to, I made a decision that what, I would never allow myself to get there, no matter what,
No matter
right?
what. Yeah.
And so I ran from a lot of the trauma, the pain. I became a part of a gang.
Yeah.
Um,
that
all of
was
that,
that was
like
family back then.
that was family. Like they were showing, like I ain't have to do nothing but be me,
But just be
and they
you.
were showing me love.
Yep. Love we thought it
You know
was
what I
at the
mean?
time. Yeah.
Or it was
That was
better
a
than
thing,
what
and
I
that was a
thought.
thing in the boroughs in Brooklyn and the Bronx
Yeah,
to be affiliated with some type of affiliate,
yeah.
groupings,
And the
groups.
crazy thing is that if to know me now, you would have never guessed that unless I told
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
right? So that's how amazing God
Mhm.
is, because I felt alone in a lot of spaces.
Yeah,
I felt alone. I felt like, yo, like all I'm trying to do as a kid is I'm trying to be loved. You know what I mean? My mama won't. My biological mother ain't there for me. I don't know where she's at, and then the person that has taken her place don't love me either.
they just love the
Right?
dough. Yeah,
Just and you know what I mean. So where's my safe space? Where's my sense of comfort? Where's my sense of refuge?
yeah.
You
We
know what I
didn't have
mean?
no safe space
I
back
could only
then. Mm-mm.
find it in a book,
Yeah,
drowning myself in fantasy in regard or fictitious characters. That was the
yeah,
reason why I would pick up books, because I could drain out all of this other stuff that's run, because the moment that I stopped reading this book or whatever, now I'm back to reality,
yeah.
you know?
I
And
go ahead.
go ahead, love.
So for me, it was on my mother's side. It just was just me and my brother, and like I said, I come from the projects. Was the
Mm-hmm,
oldest. Was raising a kid at 8 years old. Um, my mother was in the streets like any parent back then in the 80s. You had the drug epidemic going around and things like that. And I was in different places and left with different aunts and uncles.
mm-hmm,
And again, we didn't have a safe space. I was left uncovered. I was unseen. My safe space was at my grandparents' house. I couldn't wait for Friday to come. I was out of there. And when I couldn't go, I would scream, like cry, because I needed to get out of whatever this was I was supposed to be in. I didn't want to be in it for 3 days.
right.
And when it was time for me to leave, it was like that whole nightmare came back again. I could relate to to the grouping activity, like we was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be protected because you had people that was supposed to be family or whatever, touching me or whatever the case may be, violating. So you needed to find some type of, refuge. I remember that book back in the days, Black Girl Lost by Donald Goines.
Mm-hmm. Down the
That book
coins. Yep.
was, his books was amazing. Like they
Mm-hmm.
spoke volumes to our situation.
He's still one of my favorite artists right now.
Yes, mine's too. And as a little girl, I just, it was nobody. I was unseen. I didn't feel heard. I obviously my mother wasn't really worried about me. So when I had the chance to tell her about my ordeal all these years later, you
Mm-hmm.
never get the response that you want.
Mm-hmm.
If my mother's in here talking to my niece or something, like she's the best grandmother. Like everything that she let me go through, right? This little thing can't go through it at all.
Mm-hmm.
She can't. And I just sit there, it's kind of like, am I jealous of the fact that my mother wasn't a mother, but she is damn sure the grandmother?
Mm-hmm.
My son, everybody is like the best grandmother ever. Like she get a second chance, but we don't get that second chance.
Right.
We
Right.
get to witness it, but we don't get to be a partaker of it or
Right.
whatever. And it's like I learned, like I feel, it was just like little things when I bring up to her or I say something, she gets immediately, oh, why you got to bring that up? Why you always got to talk about that?
Defensive. Yeah.
She can't face it. I go,
Yeah.
but it happened.
Right.
And I'm allowed to say that it happened. If you beat me and it hurt, I'm going to say it.
Right.
You don't want to hear it, but this is what you did because now you're not cloudy and you don't have something, messing with your brain now to offset your judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But now you got to hear from your adult kid that, yes, you did do this or you didn't do this or this is your fault.
Right.
And I have a right to my truth. So now when it comes to the honoring, I wrote it in my first book, Queen with a Damaged Crown, about I had to tell my truth about my parents.
Right.
Both of them were addictive. They were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know the stories. I can tell you things. And then when I'm older, it's like parents think that when kids are sitting around and they're doing
Mm-hmm.
things in front of us, they think we're oblivious.
Right. You're oblivious
we're
to
not.
all of it. We're not. Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
My mother used to take me to her NA meetings,
Mm-hmm.
thinking I didn't know what they was. I was
Right.
8 years old writing a poem about crack.
Right.
Why am I supposed to know that at 8?
Right.
And I did it in front of everybody. And then I started
Mm-hmm.
writing poetry,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these little things you keep. So for my mother being so rough on me, and I guess taking whatever she was going through, she took it out on me. And if I
Right.
didn't watch my brother the way that she thought, then I would get, like you said, getting hit for things that it didn't warrant that.
Mm-hmm.
That type of response. So now when you get older, you either very, very angry and everybody gonna get it,
Right.
or any kid that coming your way gonna get it. And that's
Yeah.
my story.
Yep.
Even to this
Yep.
day, so when I hear a lot of guys go, oh, she's aggressive, oh, she's this, oh, she's that. I understand that y'all don't know my story, and a lot of y'all may not want to know the story, but everybody has a story for the reason why they are what they are now. Now, what I will say is that we as women don't get to sleep in it and lay in it and don't get help when you realize that something is happening that you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
what I will say. So when you angry, you kids go, that's just because what happened. When you can't blame your parents to a certain point. So when we go back
Right.
to the honor thy mother, thy father, yes, you honor them in the way that Kapla has said. But what I will say is that I'm not going to dishonor myself by keeping any more secrets.
Right.
But once you get a certain age and you know that you have been depleted in some type of training or upbringing, it's your job now to learn that thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't a good cleaner, learn how to clean. Do more. Because we can't keep blaming our parents. Now we're in our 40s raising our own kids. Like, we don't get to say that anymore. So there is
Right.
a point where you have to go back, continue honoring your parents. And you may not even get that apology or that sorry that you're looking for. It may never
That
come.
you deserve. That you deserve.
That you think you
know?
deserve. You may not ever get it. But guess
You may
what?
never. Yeah.
You
But
gotta
that doesn't
forgive
allow
them.
you to. Yeah.
Right. You got to
Yeah.
forgive yourself and you got to forgive them for you. Because holding on to them is like taking poison and hoping that the other person pass away. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. So, yes, we have to understand what we're going through, talk through it, heal through it, and know that our parents, it was just a vessel to get us here. That
Right.
God gave them us to bring forth.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that reason is and the purpose is, it is. But
Mm-hmm.
we can't lay in our 40s and 50s and keep saying mama didn't, daddy didn't. My father's dead and gone. And up until
Mm-hmm.
he passed away, I was still wanting his love as a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
When my father wasn't in my life, I tell you the age that I stopped growing. I was 9 years old. I
Mm-hmm.
was 25, 40, 35 showing up, but I still was 9. That's when my father walked out on me. And I didn't see him no more until I was 30 something years old. And then I wanted to have to take care of him. But on his unalive bed, I had to forgive him to release him. And guess who else went with him? My 9-year-old
That
self.
9-year-old. Yeah.
She
Yes.
had to go with him because
Mm-hmm.
he's not coming back. And that was my healing. It's
Right.
not an easy road, but it's a doable road, and it's a needed road that you do have to
You
take.
need to.
You
You
have
need to.
to. You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
I
And
land.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize that a lot of the way that I was, the way that I was showing up
Oh, I'm
in
sorry. Yes, Kim.
relationships.
Please write a book, girl. I'm on my book. I'm on book number 3. I'm telling you, your testimony will save somebody else. Please write a book.
Yes, it will.
Write a
It will.
book.
Do not silence your
If you
own
need help,
voice.
you can reach out to me. I'll follow you. Please write a book. You
That
don't even
Do
understand. I
not
told my whole
silence your
story.
own voice.
No,
I
write a
agree
book.
1000%. Somebody you went through what you went through so somebody else didn't have to.
That's right.
So please don't
Write the book,
silence your
girl.
own voice.
Write it.
Um I say this, um I didn't realize that the way that I felt um dictated how I was showing up in my relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It was it was one of the reasons why I had real bad trust issues.
I still do.
My self-worth was in the tubes. So I would look for broken people because them being broken and me being broken just felt natural. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's what's what I felt like I deserved. I would take things from take certain type of you know behavior or issues from folks, and I was just okay with it because that was all I knew.
Right.
Until I got to a place where it was like, wait, hold on. Um, just because I've been through this, just because that's all I knew, that doesn't mean that that's what I deserve.
That part.
But I had to
Yes.
go through therapy in order to because I didn't even realize it. Like I thought it was just the norm because I had been so accustomed to people walking away from me, to people
Yep.
doing this, to people doing that. So I'm just anticipating the other shoe dropping. So it was never comfortable for me to be like, yeah, instead of me accepting you for this volatile person that
Yeah.
is going to continuously keep me making me feel a certain type of way or have me in my feels, I deserve somebody to love on me. I deserve somebody to treat me right. I deserve somebody that's going to do for me what I do for them, right?
Right.
Instead of me doing that, and it took me years of going through stuff and realizing that the only common denominator in every situation was me. So what
Mm.
is it about me that continuously allows people to do, or why am I gravitating to this, right? And so I had to do
Yeah. It's
self
unhealed
work.
trauma. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to do self work, and I had to go down. You got to get again. If you ain't willing to go all the way down to the roots of a thing and
Don't
pull
even.
that up
Don't
and
try it.
call it what it is, then
That's
you
right.
you
Don't play
you
around with it.
you know
Mm-mm.
you won't heal.
You won't.
So um I the person that I am today
Mm-hmm.
is a complete 180 from the person that I was at 13,
Mm-hmm.
14, 15,
Yeah.
probably all the way up into my 20s. Like my children, and then here comes my my transparency. My children changed how I felt about life.
They will.
My children changed how I felt about life. My children changed how I felt about my biological mother.
Mm.
because up until that particular point, I had so much understanding for her. Like, yeah, I
Okay.
know she had me at 17 years old back in, in the 70s or whatever else like that. Like it's the heart of the crack epidemic, da 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 da. You
Yeah.
know, like I had so much sympathy for her, so I could understand. And
Mhm.
until I helped my son, then
Mhm.
my understanding about that changed. And what what changed for me, what clicked for me is like, you know what, that young soul right there, I would do anything for.
Right.
And then my daughter came. My daughter came, and it was like, you neglected and abandoned me. Oh, we can't. I don't understand that.
Mhm.
You know what I
I know
mean?
it's
And
hard.
then I
It's
had
hard
my
to.
next.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then I
Sorry.
had, yeah, and I had my next daughter, and now I definitely like, you can't talk to me because for me it was like I won't ever be able to wrap my mental around whatever you were going through in that particular time, because if I feel this way as a father, I didn't carry the baby.
Right.
I don't have I'm like I understand that there's a difference in the emotional bond that a woman has with a child that she carries. I
Right.
totally understand. You get what I'm saying? Because as a father, I know how I felt. I knew the pride. I knew the nervousness. I knew all of that stuff. And that's me not carrying a child. So I
Right.
could only imagine, you know, what you guys must deal with going to term or whatever the case may be. So I know how devastating it could be for you to lose a child, but then for you to carry it all the way to term and this, that, and then you neglect it, abandon it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Um, so it was good fortune.
Uh huh.
It was good fortune that I never met her. When my sisters finally did find her, she was already gone from here.
Wow. So sorry.
And no, it's no sorry to that. It's a good thing. It's a blessing, and it was a blessing because it taught me how not to be as a parent.
Yeah.
Right?
That part.
There
That's the
was a
part you
choice.
learn. Yeah. You
Yeah,
learn
there
that
was a
part.
choice that had to be made. I was not going to inflict that same pain that I felt as a child on
Mhm.
my children. So it taught me how not to be as a parent. And so I have a wonderful relationship with my children. And I was the type I was the type of parent, like, I want to know everything that's going on with you. I want to
Right.
know what you're thinking. I want to know, how you feel. I want to know these things. Like, I want you to
Thanks for
be
the
an
taps,
open
y'all. Thanks for the
canvas,
taps.
an open canvas with me, because I knew how it felt to be an introvert, and I was an introvert because and the only reason why I was an introvert is because of the fact that no one wanted to hear my voice. I wanted you were supposed to be a child, seen, not heard.
Well, I was the opposite because I did talk back, but when I got older, nobody could shut me up, and I took that
Yeah,
same
so
that same instance now and use it for positivity.
mhm,
And I know I told you like before. I know you were saying about you don't understand. You can never understand like a 17-year-old, and a mother bringing a child, with their maternal instinct supposed to kick in. Some
mhm,
some people just don't have that, right? And I always
mhm.
say that we can
I didn't know that
always,
though.
right, huh?
I didn't know that. Like
Right.
that's something I learned later too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying is that we always could say what our parents shoulda, coulda did, right?
Right.
But the only unfortunate why I say I'm sorry is because you would never ever get to know your mother's story as
Right.
to why. And I know sometimes it may not help, but sometimes it really does release some things.
Mhm.
And that's why, like with my dad, I'm gonna say a lot on here, just like my cousins follow me, whatever. But there's a lot of things that came from family history,
Mhm.
secrets and things that I found out when my father started to get sick, and
Okay.
it gave me a more understanding as to why he was the way he was and what he turned because of what was going on at home.
Right.
And I was able to release and have some type of compassion. Like I told you about the, the story about with the milk, the gallon and the pint.
Yeah.
About we require a gallon of milk and somebody over here has a pint. So our mother and father has a pint of milk, but we require a gallon. And then when they pour into us, they're pouring everything they have, but it unfortunately doesn't fulfill us because we require a gallon. But they gave all they had. And I stand on the thing of my mom is my mom, my dad was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
They were the vessel and the portal to get me here. Now, what I do with my life from this point on, being the best mom, like you said, being the best aunt, even you being the best father, because sometimes kids that get adopted out or foster care or get abandoned, they become their parent. So thank
More
God
times than
that
not.
that you didn't become your parent. You became the parent you wanted to be. You wanted your kids. You became the parent that you wanted.
That I needed. Yeah.
That you needed, right?
Yeah.
And that's the part that I take from even if your parent didn't pass away and give you up. If you're your mother and father, and I'm talking to TikTok and I'm talking to the live, if you know that your parent wasn't the parent that you desired, don't be that parent. Be the parent that you wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
Be the parent. Do the things for your kids that you didn't have. But then I know another thing we talked about it is that we go overboard, like you said, when the pendulum is swinging. We go overboard giving our kids everything. So if we didn't have the name brand stuff, or we was wearing hand-me-downs and we didn't eat them, now we're going to have to show our refrigerator, like one of the ladies said in the chat, we're going to make sure our refrigerator is full and my kid got everything that they want and go and eat all the juices. My niece coming here, that little girl be in and out my refrigerator. I got to grab her and go, hey, not home. You ask first, she know it's there. Oh, I can have everything. And she just eat. Back in the days, I didn't have that. I went to the refrigerator, there was nothing in there. So now in my mind, I'm making sure, like you said, that the kids around me, my son, they got everything that they need.
And that's what happened with me. Like when I went to my second adopted mom. Like when I tell you I was a glutton, like because I was so limited to what I could have and things like that. Like I didn't like the second adopted mom. Like she would make homemade pizza and stuff like that. That wasn't something that we got. We didn't eat pizza and stuff. We were always on,
I agree.
like on things like hot dogs, beans and hot dogs and stuff like that, or
That was
whatever
like
else like that.
every day.
You know what I mean? Like
I don't eat another Frank or Oscar. I ain't gonna lie, I eat Franks, but the pork and beans. If you give me if you put another bean on my plate, I'm not eating no beans.
Saying?
I don't want no rice-a-roni.
I don't want none of that.
None of that.
You know what I mean?
I don't want no grilled cheese sandwich.
And my thing is that we didn't even have to have the doggone struggle meals, because I was seeing different meals being made for them,
I'm serious,
for her and for her daughter or whatever else like that. But you giving me and my sisters the struggle meal. You know what I mean? But the way that you guys are getting your meals is through us. You know what I mean? Because when I found out just how much the state of New York was paying.
Oh yeah, per kid. Let me tell you, foster kid was a hustle in the projects. All you had to do is have a second bedroom and buy two bunk bed, and you was qualified.
Man, when I tell you,
there's a lot of people that got that story in New York. You are absolutely right.
When I tell you, and like I told you, I was very, very, very smart, so I was always reading.
Right.
And that was when the dynamics changed. That's when I stopped respecting my first adopted mom. Is when I never forget the conversation when I came to them and I was like, I was reading about TANF.
Okay, y'all, stay tuned for part 2. Talking to the podcast. Stay tuned for part 2. Okay.
I'll never forget. I went and I was reading about TANF and AFDC. And I'm the type of, even when I was younger, I was the type of mind that if I came to you and I asked you a question, I asked you a direct question, I already know the answer. I'm just seeing you trying to lie to me.
Right.
If you're going to lie.
Truth. Yeah, right.
That's all, that's all I'm doing. I'm just measuring of whether or not you're going to tell me the truth or not. So I never forget, I asked the question, like, do you guys get money from the federal government for me and my sister? I was about, I wouldn't say about 13. I wouldn't say I was about 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was no initially. And
I'm
so
surprised they tell you to mind your business.
at this particular point in time, I don't know where my courage came from.
Oh, okay. Got
You
you.
know what I mean? But at this particular point in time, nah. I'm because now I'm making executive decisions in my head based on what this conversation is going to be like. I
Yeah.
will like this is where the confident me is
Okay.
now, right? Where okay, all right. So are you are you saying to me that the federal government has given you 4 kids to raise? Ain't nobody got a job in here,
Mm-mm.
and they're not giving you any money whatsoever. Like I read up on this, so I know that they give y'all TANF and AFDC based on each state.
That's right.
And they was like, yeah, well, they only give, and this was the insult of all, because if you knew me back then, you knew I was very, very smart.
Okay.
And it was an insult to my intelligence what they said to me. They say, yeah, they give us $40.
$40 a what?
And
A day?
I looked her square in her face just like this. I said, so you mean to tell me, and this is exactly how I said it, you mean to tell me that the federal government, mind you, I'm only 12, 13 at
I
this
was about to
particular
say, how
point in
old were
time.
you and how old were you?
You mean to tell me the federal government is only giving you $40 for 4 kids to take care of 4 kids? That's what you're telling me. And they got upset.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry, Bree.
and it was at that particular point in time
Mm-hmm.
that my whole viewpoint about how I respected anything that came out of her mouth changed.
It should have changed
And
when
it
you knew
wasn't
that you was getting the struggle food and they was eating. You knew that already.
so
Man, these people
again,
something
it was
else.
one of those things where you know what, you have to get to a point of being fed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you have to get to a specific point. Like for me, that was the breaking point, was the lie to my face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's whatever I can take you beating on me. I can take all this other stuff, but to insult
Mm.
my intelligence, you did. Now y'all know I'm smarter than everybody in this damn house. What you're not gonna do is you're not gonna play in my face in this moment
Mm-hmm.
and insult. Like that was the ultimate insult to me, is that yo, because I'm asking you directly what I already know. So that was the straw that broke the
Camel's
camel's back
back.
for me. You know what I mean? Like it could have been so many different other things,
Right.
but that was the thing for me. I remember it so vividly, like I was standing right in front of her in this moment. You know.
Okay.
Um.
I'll ask you a question when you
So
finish.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, I gotta finish your thought. Finish your thought.
I was basically done.
Oh. So so now, we talked about the scripture of honor thy mother, thy father. We
Hmm.
talked about don't provoke your kids.
Hmm.
And there's another scripture from Ezekiel that says the son shall not bear the iniquities of the father, and the father shall
Hmm.
not inherit the iniquities of the son.
So,
And his wickedness is his wickedness, and his righteousness is his righteousness.
hmm.
So my question is, what do you how do you perceive that scripture
So
pertaining
I'll
to everything
say
that we just talked
right.
about?
Right. That's why I say that a lot of the time, because
Mhm.
once you get to a certain age,
Mhm.
right, the age of knowing right from wrong, right,
Mhm.
you know whether someone doing something to you is right or whether it's wrong,
Right.
and then you make a choice on how you choose to go forward. Now, That's the reason why I agree 1,000% with you that I don't like hearing people continuously talk about, well, my mother and my father did da 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 or whatever else like that. That is not their choice,
Right.
is not your only choice. You're
That's
choosing
right.
to be the way that you are. You're choosing to follow the example that if you knew that this hurt, if you
Right.
knew, for instance, everybody has been pinched before.
Thank you
You
guys.
and you in church, you acting up or whatever.
You get
That
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 pinch.
you get that pinch or whatever, and
Yeah.
they squeeze that meat or whatever. It's like that. You knew what that felt like.
Yes.
You know what that is. So the
Mm-hmm.
moment that you decide to do that to somebody else, you're choosing to do because you know what that feels like,
Right.
right? It's the same exact that it's the same daggone thing. It's like if I know how that felt and I knew it hurt me, then when I decide when I have children, I can't sit up there and lean on my father's iniquities to me as the reason why I'm doing X, Y, and Z to the next person.
Right.
No,
Right.
no. His sin doesn't lead to my sin. My sin is my own.
But a lot of people take that. So for me, it's the generational curse, the generational everything that keeps passing down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain things that I feel like that I had stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Consciously, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm not gonna beat on my kid. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be aware. I'm gonna protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna let him have a voice,
Mm-hmm.
but with respect, right? You still not gonna talk to adults crazy. You still gonna put a handle on a person's name. You know, these people I noticing like kids calling they adults by their first name.
Mm-hmm.
No, we not. My grandmother told me that ain't never gonna be a thing for me. You either gonna say auntie or miss something. You got to put a
But
handle.
that's on us.
No,
To be
but
fair, that's on us because a lot of kids were taught to say Mr. and Mrs. or
yes,
whatever, and then what the adults would do is they would say, I ain't no Mr. or Mr. That's my mother or my father. Don't put
I still
because
did.
there was
Oh,
so much
I never
shame
heard
that
that.
I've heard it numerous
Oh,
times. I've
to
heard it
this
so many
day,
different times
I
where
still do it. Yeah, I know. I know.
yeah, but I've
I know.
heard it
Saying
so
that
many
I'm not
different times
old.
where folks
Yeah.
don't want to like
Hmm.
don't age
I say
me.
it
I'm
too.
not my
Like
mother and
I'm
my
like,
father.
yeah. But it's still.
Yeah.
But even if I say it and you give me permission, it's two different things. For me to
Hmm.
come out and just right outly say it, and and you think it's okay, that's what I'm talking about. So if I say, hey, just call me Shawna, or that's fine. But if I didn't give you that
Right.
permission, then I need a handle.
But
Um,
unfortunately, what happens is that once you get enough people saying it, you stop doing it. Right.
I didn't.
Like there
Mm-mm.
there there are there are some and it's again like if it's not in practice
Thanks for the
around
love,
you,
y'all.
if it's not consistently in practice around you, then you stop doing it. And so therefore, like if like for instance, like if
Get us
I'm a
a
younger
10K,
kid
y'all. Appreciate it.
and
Get
I
us a 10K likes.
talk to Shauna and I just say Shauna and Shauna stopped me like no you better say Miss or put ma'am or whatever behind it.
Hmm.
Now I know that going forward this is not the way. But a lot of time the us especially our generation we allow them to just go ahead and just proceed on and
Well,
don't take offense to it or don't correct it.
I'm gonna say our generation is the one that said it. I just think that generation didn't pass it on to the Gen Zs and the millennials because of
Hmm.
what we said. So now, for some talking to some of my clients and talking to people, about that, it was
Hmm.
the same thing. If you got violated or you was disrespected, now you got me giving honor or calling somebody miss or auntie, and they really, excuse me, they're not
Yeah.
my auntie, and they ain't my uncle, and now they violated me. Then to hell with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm calling you
Yeah.
stranger danger. That's your name.
Yeah. For real. Yeah.
So again, it's the trauma response. It's either
Yeah.
extreme or extremely low. It's either one or the
Hmm.
other. There's no medium, and we have to find that medium. And it goes back to like you're saying, the sins of the father is not, and vice versa.
Hmm.
Generational curses is real. So like
You
I was
believe
saying,
so?
yes, it is because I knew what I would not take on my of my father and my mother.
Okay.
watching to correlate smoking, drinking, drugging equals you losing your kids or losing your family was something that I wasn't going to do.
Right.
So I consciously didn't drink. I consciously
Okay.
never smoked. Right? If I go on vacation, I might have a mimosa or something like that. But for me to drink, because it's Friday, it was never my thing, because I equate that with losing my family or what I went through with my dad and my mom. So I stayed away from it. Having a bunch of kids equates you staying in the projects and not getting a job and being on welfare for the rest of your life. I didn't want that life for me, so I consciously watched and did and veered off. I didn't want to do the superstitious thing, whatever that stuff my grandma tried to do. I leaned away from it. So what I'm saying is that we don't get to sit down and keep saying it's the sin of the fathers, it's my father's, my mother, it's my father's, my mother. We have to be the change.
Right.
And I feel, and I'm scared for this new generation, because for us rather, because we're the elders, we're going to be the ones that's going to be in a nursing home and hospital soon. And a lot of these kids is not picking those jobs up. So who's taking care of us? If they see us acting the way that we acting on TikTok and going the way that we're going, that we're going to be left behind. If we didn't do right by our kids, we're going to be left behind. I'll give you a prime example. How this heifer didn't know nothing about my father. My father's in a nursing home. Now, mind you, my dad was not a father to me at all. But my grandmother always said, he going to come back around. Don't worry. You going to wind up taking care of him, and he going to need you more than you ever needed him. I didn't understand it, but it came to manifest.
Right.
My father's in the hospital. He's paralyzed from the waist down, medical situation. And according to my father, because I'm trying to keep him alive, I'll take his money and take stuff away from him so he won't do sets, recreational things in the nursing home. So now he talks about me to the nurses in there to get on their good side. My father was a great manipulator.
Right.
Me and my mother come to see my father, and so I'm in the elevator, and I think I said my father's name or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's the left or the right. So she took it upon herself to know my father about 1.5 days. Said, oh, you're his daughter. I heard a lot about you. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So me and my mother looked at each other like, bitch, who you talking to? So I said again, first of all, you don't know nothing about me or my father. My father ain't been up here for 2 days.
Right.
I said, he is older. You don't know what he did to me and what he wasn't there for me when I was younger. So I suggest you mind your business or you lose your job, because you don't know me. And you telling something that your patient told you is a violation. So mind your business.
Right.
So I say all this to say, there's a lot of old people in nursing homes that look very wildered away and scarce, and nobody's coming to visit them, but everybody think that the families are bad people.
Right.
But it's what they have done to their kids or haven't done.
Yeah.
So all these fathers that don't want to be fathers, and all these mothers that don't want to be mothers, you don't know what's going to happen to you. You too have your day.
Yeah, you too have your day.
You too have your day, so you better hope. My mother know right now she got 2 kids. She know which one is going to take care of her if something happen, and she know which one ain't.
Right.
And if the day I decide not to be that one, she going to be up creek.
Right. Right.
I'm still honoring. My brother, not so much.
Right.
So you have to know, you have to be aware of how you take care of your kids. You can't provoke your kids, and they should honor you. But there's a limit to that honor when it comes to their well-being and their health.
There it is right there, because I would say that maybe your brother is honoring her the best way that he know how. Like, I need to limit my exposure to you, because if I expose myself to you, you are not going to be honored by how I respond to you as a, you know what I mean? Because I still feel a certain type of way, and and in my mind, I'm justified in the way that I feel. You know what I mean? So I agree with you to a certain extent, but then like your perspective of what your honor is to them versus his perspective of his honor. Because see, for me,
my brother is totally he that one. Okay, he's that one.
So
without saying
the best,
I'm telling you, he ain't honoring.
Right, the best way that he can honor is like, you know what? Don't say nothing to me. Don't be around me. Don't be in my space.
Why though?
Or whatever.
Because remember, we all went through what we went through. I'm the
Yeah.
one that left. So remember, you talk
Gotcha.
about how
Yeah.
siblings get left behind because you ran for the
Mm-hmm.
hills. I got
Mm-hmm.
out. He got
Right.
left behind.
He got
So
left behind.
I got
Yeah.
raised by my grandmother. We
Mm-hmm.
got raised together by my grandma. I was raised by my grandmother up until 27 years old.
Right.
He stopped getting raised by my grandmother at 15. So
Mm-hmm.
now from 15 up until now, he's been raised by my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha.
you see the difference,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
His real raising stopped. He got my
Mm-hmm.
mom,
Right.
unfortunately, and that's where the what's the word I'm looking, resentment comes in.
Right.
He calls me for everything because I'm like the
Mm.
mom because I raised
Right.
him.
Right.
So he don't
That's the
honor her, and
dynamic
and it,
between
it is nothing
myself.
I can do. They got to get healing
Yeah.
together, but they
Yeah.
stress me out, and I'm not going. I got out, and I don't feel
Right.
bad about it. I
Right.
ran for the hills.
Right.
I got out, but
And
I get it.
that's the dynamic between myself and my oldest sister. You know what I mean? Like she
Thank you, Bree.
basically until my second until I got with my second adopted mom, she was basically my mom. Like she was my default mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's
Like
not Bree.
because I couldn't deal with my biological mother, and she couldn't deal with me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Then when because my sister is 3 years older than me, she got out. You know what I mean? She was able to get out, and she was able to go to the military or whatever. And it wasn't too long after that
Yeah.
I left as well. But nonetheless, you know what I mean. It was still long enough to where it was like I felt the void. You get what I
Okay.
mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely um I definitely understand completely what you mean. And I think
Yeah,
that,
you
you
have to,
know,
Ivo. I'm sorry, reading the chat. Chat.
no,
Ivo
you
said I'm
good, you
not
good.
going to live when I get away. I'm taking significant time away from the folks I go away. You have to. You
Yeah,
have
you
to.
have to.
Yeah, I know
It
you
is
still
a
home.
must.
You have to because I'm telling you now. My mother runs in my house, and I get the privilege of saying when it's time for her to go. So
Right.
you have to, But I'm going to say is that for those that's in the chat and everything and on TikTok with us, I appreciate y'all, but I hope that this helps a lot of y'all because I know it's kind of hard to stand by that scripture. It's a commandment actually, one of the fifth
It
commandments
is
to
a
honor thy mother,
commandment. Yeah.
and it has everything to do with you
Mm-hmm.
and what
Yeah.
your life is gonna look like. So let me be clear, because it's saying to honor your mother and your father that your days may be long
Mm-hmm.
and you obtain from the Lord. So
And
it
let,
has
let's
everything to
let's
do with you. And
yeah,
and
and
when
let's
you
be clear.
and when you're
Let's be
not
clear on
doing that,
something.
so just be careful. And I'm not telling you
Yeah.
to be stepped on by your parents. You allowed to
That
say,
part
hey, I
right
need a
there.
break. Like I get sometimes I be feeling bad when I don't want to answer the phone for my mother or when I just can't do her. Sometimes I just
Mm-hmm.
can't. Sometimes she just over and then she try to manipulate the situation because she is my mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? But right now I don't feel like being mothered. So
Right.
you have the right to set boundaries even with your parents.
Right.
But just be careful how you honor them or the length of disrespect or if it's any there. And if you feel like it is, then you just talk to somebody about it. But you have a right to set boundaries even with your siblings and everybody around you for your mental health. So let me say
Yeah.
that. Sorry, I
Yeah.
gotta comply.
No, you're definitely 100% correct. And
Wow, that's
sometimes you know
commendable,
what?
Ice. Sorry.
Sometimes your honor is in re, you know removing yourself from that person or removing that person from you,
Yeah, it was
because
toxic.
if it's toxic,
Mm,
if it's going to consistently make me a combustible person, then I have to do what's best for me. And the best way to honor you, so that way I don't curse you out, or I don't do this,
it's
or I
take
don't
my
do that,
time.
is to
Right.
just take myself away from this whole situation.
It's true.
Because you won't, because of who you are, you won't honor me. You won't give me respect. You won't do X, Y, and Z. And I'm not going to sit up here
Because
and
parents
just
think they
put
don't have to.
myself, yeah,
They
and I'm
think
not
they
going
don't
to
have
put
to.
my thoughts, I'm not going to put my feelings on the back burner for this honor you
Hey,
thing.
Cree.
No. You know what I mean? No, the best way for you to honor The best way for me to honor you is to get you out of my damn house. Get out of my face.
Quick,
You
fast,
know
in
what
a
I mean?
hurry.
Go, you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Quick, fast, in a
Because this is
hurry.
about to turn a different way. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Like
And
my
you
mother
gotta
be
accept
so my
that
mother be
sometimes.
so shocked sometimes when we like it's like we can't on day 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know if it's in her mind like, okay, engage in argument now, go.
Like it's activated. It's auto
Yes.
activated, huh?
Like
Yeah.
so now you only can stay here 3 days because on the 4th day I know it's something. Because
Right.
it's like she don't get it, she don't want to hear it. Like, so I
Right.
told her one that I said you'll never know if anything else has bothered me or has happened to me because of your response when I told you what happened to me, and you downplay everything I'm telling you from my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You did it,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't want to hear what you did. You don't want to. You don't want to. You don't want to relive it. I'm not gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
throwing it in your face, but if I got to get it out, I have to give it out. Get it
Yeah.
out.
And Becky said, honoring you while provoking me don't sit right in my spirit. I'm right.
No, that part.
Right.
That part.
While you provoking, no, what you gonna do is the best way for me to honor you to tell you to get up out of my face, and let's limit our conversation
Yeah. Have a good
because
day.
you know,
Have a good day. Ivo said, I tried to get away to better myself since I was 16 and my mom thwarted every opportunity. Yeah, she self-sabotage. That was sabotage.
yeah. And I mean, look, and
And I'm
let's
sure you
let's
still got
understand.
resentment from since then.
Let's understand something. One of the worst things that you can actually do is try to have healed conversation with broken people.
Oh my gosh.
That's one of
That
the
part.
worst
Say
things
that
that
again. Say that
because
again for the people in the back.
for the people in the back, one of the worst things that you can try to do is you as a healed person try to have healed conversations with broken people.
It don't
They
work.
don't
It sounds like
understand.
speaking a whole nother language.
They don't understand.
Mm-mm.
And
You can't.
they're not going to try to understand. They're going to try to bring you down to their broken language.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm not doing that no more.
They
Nope.
will manipulate the whole situation to where now it's your fault. You know,
Victimize,
you're this.
weaponize,
Yeah,
everything.
I'm the victim. I'm always the victim. And so,
Oh, I
I,
love you,
I, I,
Ivo.
I did the best that I could, quote unquote, or what. When you know good and well there was more to be done. So now you trying to gaslight me
Mm.
and minimalize my feelings and what my perspective of or what you did to me.
Yeah.
No,
And it's sad
no.
because we always it's a saying is not to be weird, but you always say that the mom is supposed to be the son's first love and the father supposed to be the daughter's first love, and it's like when you get your heart broken by that first love,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know how to be in the world to come,
Mm-hmm.
because you always gonna either be looking for somebody to hurt you or you're gonna be clingy to everybody that comes. And you lose,
Right.
like I would say, you lose your confidence. Because
Mm-hmm.
if your mama's saying you ain't this and you ain't never gonna be and da 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 da, you look like your father and you're just like this, then you gonna believe the person that you came through the birth
That
canal from,
right. Right.
or nut sex. You gonna believe
The
that
the
person
the person that was supposed to be your
that created
protective
me, that made
covering.
all of this.
Yeah. Right. That's
Then
supposed to
then
love
yeah,
me
you're right.
above all else. Like if you can't love me, who the hell else can?
Right? How am I supposed to find that? Thank God for grandparents. Thank God, because I wouldn't have known. Because they ready
Thank
doing
God
their
for
own
in my
thing.
case,
That's the worst.
thank God that some other people took an interest where
Hey
mine
Tyrone.
did. Where God put me in the path of people that took an interest in me when mine could have gave a damn less.
And I always say family is not always blood. Okay?
That part right there.
All right, because there's
That
some people
part.
that don't share not a DNA with me. And I
Mm-hmm.
will go to bat for.
Yep.
And
Yep.
some of my family, and I'll be like, I don't know. I'm not answering that call.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I gotta take me a deep breath before
Right. What is going on now, right? What is going on here?
you know what I mean? Like I expel all the air out of my lungs before I answer this call. If I
Yeah,
decide to
distant
answer this
cousins,
call.
right, Cole? Distant cousins. Distant cousins. I'm telling you, but seriously, so honoring thy mother and thy father. I do agree that there is a certain, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say a certain level to it. But I do believe that it doesn't go past you hurting yourself. And I think what you said, Becky had said, what you said in the comment. What you
Becky
smiling
said,
at? What I miss?
I read Becky's comment just more. She
Oh,
said, "I'm so glad we have access to Beyonce and Al Gore's internet, so
what?
there's access to know and do better."
Oh,
That's what I was laughing at in my mind. But
but I,
her
but I,
initial comment was honoring you while you provoking me don't sit right in my
right.
spirit.
So
And
what I
I
wanted,
agree.
yeah, to add on to that is to honor somebody and to respect somebody. It shouldn't deplete you and make you
Yeah,
feel bad after you done gave all you have.
yeah.
So to go back to like what I was saying about the gallon of milk and the pint, if you a gallon, don't give all yourself. You got to save
Mhm.
something for yourself, for your mental health and for your clarity. And you can't fix everybody. And if you
Yeah,
come from a toxic household and you the only healed one in it, you are not Dr. Ruth, Dr. Phil, or
right.
Dr. Seuss. Okay?
Do not like
You better
3 eggs
leave.
and a half.
You know Sam I am, 3 eggs and ham. I'm out. All right? Your name is
Right,
not Ofra. It ain't your job to fix them.
right,
Okay?
right, right.
Please, Cole, learn.
And
It's
look,
not our
and
ministry. You pray for them
it's
and you ask
yeah,
God to cover them. And if you are healed, like you said, your new ears is gonna be different than what they talking about.
yeah,
You're not gonna
yeah,
that language is different. Healed language is different.
yeah.
It's different. It's not emotional. It's logic. It's
Right.
straight to the point.
Yeah. It's
You
it's
my
it's
man, my
it's
mother told me they try to
solutions.
manipulate
It's
me.
solution oriented. You know what I mean? Okay, I hear you. I hear you talking about a problem, but what's the solution?
That
Because
part.
I don't want to
Right.
keep on going through this.
Right.
Oh, you bring me nothing but problem stuff. You know,
Oh,
you always.
yesterday. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
the bills, the lights is off. Oh, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm going to do. I'm like, well, I don't know what you're going to do.
I don't know then. Hey,
Cause you're
you
not,
know.
cause you used to get me when I was a kid with that. I'm on to you now, sister. I know
Right,
what manipulate
right.
is. What?
Them same old tricks ain't working
What?
now. Now that my eyes is wide
I'm
open
so
and
tired. I'm so
hmm
hungry.
and I no longer feel an obligation to upkeep your household. Meanwhile, you know when things happen in mine, I gotta sit up there and gut it through.
Right. I can't call you.
I can't call you.
I
Okay,
can't. And that's another
right.
part that kind of hurts, right? You
Mm-hmm.
healed, you doing good, but then on the flip side, everybody's pulling on you.
Yeah. Everybody tugging,
You only
want to
can
get
do what you
something
can
from
do.
you. Yeah.
You only can do what you can do.
And
Don't
I
overextend
have no
yourself to your
sense of
family.
I have no sense of obligation. You know what I mean? I have no sense of obligation whatsoever. If
Nope.
I can, I will. If I don't want to, I won't.
I won't. Sure won't. And that's it.
And it's from the same heart, same heartstring.
From the
I love
heart.
you still the same. I love you still the same.
From the heart.
hmm But if you like, I'm gonna love you with your lights on or with your lights off.
Right. I'm buy you
You
some
know what I'm
candles.
saying?
Get you a flashlight. Get some
Right.
WDs.
You know what I mean? Like,
Take this
okay,
battery right here. You want me to charge your phone in my car?
I'm just saying. You know, because I can't be
Thanks for the taps, y'all.
your your lack of preparation does not constitute my emergency.
Mm-mm. Nope. Sure
You
don't.
know,
But I will say the people that we are attached to, we have to love them from a distance and
hmm
just know that your bloodline is your bloodline and what you do with it and what you do with the information that you get from your family and you may, like I said, you may not get an apology. You may be holding on to stuff right now from years ago. You have to free yourself from that stuff. I
hmm
realized that I ain't never gonna get an apology from my father. I know where he at,
yeah,
but I know he can't talk to me. But he shows
yeah,
up in my dreams every now and then.
yeah.
I'm the
You know
oldest
what?
of five, so we all have lost something. So now it's like everybody turns to me, but
Yeah,
you have to put boundaries down.
yeah. You
Yeah.
know, to put a bow on my story,
Mhm.
you know, um, I say that my forgiveness to my mother came in the form of my last daughter.
Okay.
Um, I never, I never forget. I used to get triggered by the name Stephanie
Oh.
because that's my biological mother's name, Stephanie. I used to get triggered so much by it because, you know, I felt a certain type of way about how she left me. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it was.
Mhm.
And I never forget my daughter's mom at the time was pregnant, and I was in the shower,
Mhm.
and she had decided that she was going to name my daughter Michelle.
Oh, name her Michelle.
She was going to name my daughter Michelle,
Okay.
and I was in the shower, and out of nowhere, like something just said, "Name her Stephanie,"
Mm.
and I told my daughter's mom, I was like, you know what? I want you to name her Stephanie. Her middle name could be Michelle, but I want you to name her Stephanie. And I think that that was my forgiveness to my mama.
Your mother's name is Stephanie.
Her name was Stephanie. Yeah.
Wow. So you named your daughter after your mom.
My daughter's name is Stephanie, and it was my forgive. It was my way
Wow,
of
that's big.
finally letting go what had plagued me for years.
Wow, that's big.
I
Wow.
asked my daughter the other day because I told her the story of why her name is what it
Mhm.
is. I asked her, I said, how do you feel about that? And she said, to be honest, Dad, she said, I'm honored.
Mm.
She said, because it showed it shows your growth. She said,
Yeah.
it shows me your love for me, that you was willing to forgive someone that did you the way and that they did you,
Yeah.
you
That's
know, through
good.
me. So um that in itself, when she said it, you know,
Mhm.
because I get amazed by my children in the way that they think because they have their own minds, and it is just so.
Yeah.
As a father, like it's just like a proud moment for me to just
Mhm.
listen to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why I say, you know, to a certain extent, I agree with you that you know what, like maybe we allow certain things to go too far as far as to, you know, the allow you know our children being a really expressive,
Yeah.
but the on the flip side of that is like when you listen to them, like um they're so much more um they're so much more uh I say further along in their thought process, emotionally mature
Yeah. They
than
are.
we were at their age.
Because because we don't hide nothing from them. That's the thing. We
Right.
overshare with
Yeah.
all the social media and stuff. Like, but back in the days, we used to get locked in the room. When my mother was in there drinking, smoking, we was in the
Mhm,
room in my aunt's room. We was not allowed to come out. We had to ask if we can go to the bathroom. We had to ask,
mhm,
and I mean, and in a sense, those type of actions helped to protect us from certain things.
mhm.
And then in the flip side, a lot of these kids now know and see too much. Like, I don't like a kid
Yeah.
sitting amongst my conversation with my
Yeah.
friend or my
Yeah, I
sister
agree.
because they shouldn't hear certain things. Like, if you bashing your husband or your baby father or you bashing another family member, that shouldn't be something that these kids hear
Yeah,
because
because they're
they'll
going to
internalize it
develop feelings.
and they'll be biased towards that person,
Yeah.
especially if that person hasn't directly hurt us, but we're mad at the moment. And I
Right.
sometimes tell my sister, like, yo, I know you get mad, but be careful what you say. I said, yeah, some things need to be hid until
Right.
a point in time. Like, we know
Right.
we got secrets, but certain things your kids, you need to know when they get older, not right now. So I
Right.
do, again, certain things that our parents did with us to protect
But
us, it helps
did were
now,
they
but we're not
really
doing it. It's
protecting us
exposed.
though? Were
Yeah,
they
I
really
do
protecting
believe.
some
I
like
do
certain
believe.
things though? Like certain things we should have known. Certain things that you know because you give me this false sense of security as far as to this is not what this is not what it is out here in this world or whatever the case may be. When in actuality, you're not giving me free range of emotion to feel, to think, or whatever, because
Mm.
that's what we did with ours. So there's some of the things that we
Mm.
did not pay attention to, or we took for granted because we were just kids back then. Our kids pick up, and so now they feel a certain type of way, or
Mm.
they formulate their thoughts, and they're able to express it in a way that we couldn't because
Right, because they got all the stuff. That's why. Because nothing is
right.
nothing is hidden from them. But if we had to learn anything or wanted to learn anything, we had to go to the school library or the
Mm-hmm.
library around our way and get a encyclopedia and go down the numbers to find out what we was looking for. We didn't. There were
Right.
certain things was being censored on TV, so we were
Right.
not exposed to a lot of things that these kids are. So even if we think we're hiding something from them, they still learning it somewhere else. Like we learned certain
Right.
things from the street when we were younger, but these kids get
Right.
to see things in worlds away by
Right.
sitting right there in their Brooklyn home or in their Virginia home.
Right.
We didn't
Yeah.
have that. We went
Right.
outside and if we didn't watch the 5 o'clock news, the first 10 minutes to know what was going on, we didn't know nothing.
Right.
Everything
Right.
is being broadcast. You know what's going on in Africa, what's going on down the road, you know who's going, everything. People's
Yeah.
exposing everything. Everybody pick up this camera. So it's like, I'm not saying the kids are smarter than us. It's that they're exposed to a lot of things. And it's like,
There's more
it's an
exposed to more
overload
information.
though because some of these kids mind taking in so much stuff because there's also what you can hide from these kids with these phones. It's a learning, it's an overload in their brain.
Right.
It's I don't care what nobody, it's an overload because they know too much and they think they know everything, and then when you try to talk to them they don't want to hear it because they think that TV and YouTube and ChatGPT is going to teach them everything.
Yeah,
And that's not
I
true.
get that.
You know,
I
so
get that.
for me, I think that's the stuff. Some of the stuff that I was hidden from,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. And then when I was being nosy, looking through stuff and peeking when I was supposed to, my heart was hurt.
Mm-hmm. I could get where you're
So
coming
yeah,
from,
so
but
certain things I wish that my mother protected me for certain stuff is weird.
mm-hmm.
The things I should have been protected from, I wasn't in one. Things I didn't, I was. But
I
nevertheless,
kind
I'm
of
glad I was able to be a kid. I
yeah.
was able to
I
jump
kind of
rope and play.
yeah,
You know, I'm grateful for that.
right. But see,
So
the problem that a lot of us had was that our parents was quote unquote protecting us from certain things or whatever else like that. But then when you got 18, well now you grown, you should know certain things or whatever else like that. Now I'm gonna push you out the nest, and you gotta or if you made it to 18. Some of us didn't even make it to 18 before you get pushed out of the nest or whatever else like that. Now you got to figure this thing out on your own. So you protect me one way, but then you don't another. So I'm low information out here in this world of vultures. You know what I mean? Like,
because
so
somebody gonna
I
teach
get
you.
what you're saying.
Somebody
Yes,
gonna
you're
teach you.
gonna learn one way or the other.
And I guess that was
You know what
hard
I
on
mean?
the boys because the boys got kicked out faster than the
Mm-hmm.
girls. I could have
Mm-hmm.
still been at home right now. I left at 22. I was out.
Mm-hmm.
My mother didn't want me to go. She tried to sabotage everything for me not to get out the house. I moved in with my best friend. My best friend had a second bedroom. I moved in with her, and while my mother was talking to me, I had stuff over there already done. All I needed to say, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow. That was it.
Yeah,
I
see,
had
for
to go.
boys,
I had to go.
you can't be living with mama and trying to be out here calling yourself trying to you ain't gonna what you live with your mama.
Right. Some of these girls don't
Nah,
even care. Please.
I mean now that that paradox has shifted where now you can't back then I agree with you.
Yeah.
It didn't matter for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
But now you can't live with mama.
Yeah, you can't. You
And
can't.
trying to holler at nah.
Anybody saying anything in the chat? This was a great conversation. I thank y'all for
I
interacting with us.
appreciate everyone that interacted, everyone
Hey,
that
Kiki.
got me up to 20,000 likes. I appreciate it so much.
You got 20,000? I
20
got 11 on my
yeah.
side. You got 20?
I got the overlord over here,
Oh, the
overly.
people's over there just
you know,
helping you out over
I
there.
got the overlord.
We
She
should have.
saw
We
she was
should have
like
put. We
tap,
should
tap,
have
tap,
picked
tap.
Should have picked the battle button and see what happened. Shoot. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that the people is in here. Oh, it's okay, Bree.
Yes.
It's all right. It's
Yeah,
okay. I
definitely.
take my 11K. It's all right. It's
But
okay.
look,
We're gonna battle next time. We battling
yeah, we gonna
on
do so.
Friday with
Hey, we gonna
with our music.
now, Friday, I'm hosting,
Okay, you
and
host. I might go live tonight
Friday.
too.
Okay, you gonna if
I
you
just
go
might just
live,
do the music.
what time? What time are you gonna go?
Probably like 9. You gotta work tonight, right?
Yeah, I got to work tonight, so hopefully I be able to if I'm
Oh,
up
but you up. What time you get up?
if I'm up, because I start at midnight, so
Oh,
I'll
okay.
probably try to get a little nap in before then. But if I'm up,
Okay.
of course, I'm gonna come through and support and everything. But
Of course.
um, this has been the Male and Female Perspective Podcast, live on TikTok, live on YouTube. We appreciate everyone. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you
Thank you
so much
guys.
for taking your time out with us. It is humble. It's with humble respect for each and every one of you that I say thank you, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Have a blessed night.
Good night, y'all.